What's the point of setting the exposure if my camera's gonna like change it as soon as I start recording? Okay. I'm really excited today because I finally bit the bullet on buying an adapter for this lens that I bought at a thrift store for like 15 to 20 bucks. I don't have a camera this is natively supported by, so I had to get an adapter so I could use it with this camera, which will eventually be camera B. That's a topic for another day. But this is, I don't know what kind of lens it is. I know that it's a very long lens with lots of options on it, but I can't quite figure out if it's macro or like super zoom. So the thing that I bought is 6 stops away from my house right now. I have the map open. You're not going to see that because I'm not doxing myself for a YouTube video. But yeah, it's about to get here and I'm really excited to try this out. But I'm also recording the audio for this video with a new device, which hopefully I won't need an auxiliary device for this sort of thing in the next week or two. But for now, this is the best audio quality that I can get. And I figured I bought this thing, I should give it a try for shooting audio for videos. But otherwise, the package is just about to reach my porch. And so I'm gonna go outside and wait for it. And I'm very excited. I'll unbox it in here. We'll take a look at it together. We'll install it on the lens and then we'll pop it onto the camera and play around with it a little bit. And playing around with it means I'm gonna have to use my phone to record audio, or I can bring this thing outside with me. I'm gonna do a video about what I'm using very soon. Regardless, package time. I'll be right back. I got it. And now we got the downward shot. I have a mouse pat down because while I would prefer the white underlay because it makes things that are black easier to see, there is quite a glare from the ring light that's above head. I'm working on the lighting, okay? Give me a breather. But anyways, this is an FD-FL to Nex mount, I believe. I believe the mount on this is FD. I did some looking around and I only found one source of information that had a lot of detail that showed this sort of mount. So here's hoping. So I'm actually kind of happy this came in a little plastic box, and while I may not put this back into its box ever again, unless if I'm moving or use a different mount for some reason, this will be useful for other things, like maybe my new lav mic system. But anyways, opening time. I will move this lens out of the way for now. Opening time. Nice little plastic box. I mean, it's definitely a cheap plastic box, but a plastic box all the same that snaps closed, which is nice. This is not a review of the box. I just like little containers that hold things. Now this is the lens adapter that I got. Wow, this thing looks really nice. Like, I'm not saying it's the most high quality thing that's ever existed, but that looks really good. So one end is for the Nex, which I believe is this end here, and this is for the actual lens. Now, I'm not 100% certain this is going to work. I don't know much about camera lenses. I'm just beginning my more deep learning about this sort of stuff, but oh, you know what? I might have had that in the wrong orientation. You do fit, right? Oh no, hold on. No, it is keyed. Two of these are smaller than one of them, so it would go on in this direction, right? We got a click. It's on. It's on, and it feels good and tight. Now this one has its own locking mechanism, I think, or maybe this is for certain other lenses, but it doesn't wiggle. It's locked on. So we have a lens with a thing on. This is probably the dumbest time to do this, but here we go. Everyone's gonna yell at me for doing this. Recording. Oh, the camera doesn't want to be on. Okay, I'll be back in 1 second. We're gonna go outside. Actually, before we go outside, look how ridiculous this is. This lens weighs like 5 to 6 times as much as the body of this camera does. So I'm gonna be using the lenses tripod mount to put it on something when I'm doing shoots that need stability. But now I get to go grab the battery, pop it in the camera, and at least point it out my window to see if everything's looking good. Now I don't have any sort of protective thingy for this lens, so I'm literally going to put that cover on top, and then I'm going to set the bottom of this into the box. One issue with this camera is that its battery doesn't last very long, which is why I got a dummy battery for it. But God, this makes me feel so official as a photographer. But it should be good enough to do some tests. So I'm gonna turn on this camera. Yeah, okay, it's working. We're gonna go outside now. Maybe some photos, maybe some video. Try not to dox myself. But sirens. Okay, so now we're outside and I'm filming on my phone because that's the only way I can actually use my new wireless lav system now. And I'm really excited about this. I know it doesn't sound the most amazing, but we're outside with this camera, and because the lens is like omega heavy compared to the body, I'm going to be using a tripod to attach straight to the lens, which will support the weight of the camera body no problem. Now, I'm not actually coming out here to take a picture of anything in particular, but because it's a long lens and therefore does better at things that are far away, it seems more suitable to try and like take photos or videos or whatever outside. Oh God, this might even be too heavy for this little tripod. Oh no, it's holding up. It's a little Sony mount branded tripod that I found at a thrift store, which I am assuming is probably meant for like phones, but it seems to work pretty well for cameras as well. I've never seen one of these before, but for $8 I was like, sure, why not? Okay, so I can adjust the... I can't adjust the f-stop, but I can adjust the ISO, which is nice. So, peaking level, histogram, color space, release with lens, without lens, enable. How far out does that focus? Oh my gosh. That's so cinematic. I've never... The other lens wasn't this, like, detailed with the focus ring. It actually, I think it adjusted the focus digitally as you adjust the knob, but this is, like, fully physical, and it feels a lot more like there's more physical feedback for it. Thing is, I don't honestly understand what f-stop is, so perhaps there's some learning I need to do there. But this is so cool. But that is focusing really, really well on those trees over there. But I'm curious about this ring right here, which looks like the physical f-stop. And I don't know if it's actually doing anything. I'm really happy with this so far. Now, if there's something that's like relatively close that I could focus on, there is a plant right at the base of my fancy thing right here. I want to see if I can actually focus in on that. Oh. That is so cool. That's only about maybe 7 feet away. Wow. That's about 6 feet away. Oh, well, that concrete that I'm pointing at right now is about 4 or 5 feet away. And I could focus to that. And there's still more focal length. So this is just kind of like me reacting to getting a lens that I bought like 2 years ago finally working with the camera I wanted it to work with. Speaking of more of that later, I made a discovery. So I thought the aperture blades were broken on this lens. So I started looking around on Google to see if there was like an auxiliary adapter I could get that goes in between the lens and this adapter or converter adapter that would let me have aperture control. Because honestly, I thought they were broken. I don't know anything. But I stumbled upon a forum post on digital photography review, completely by accident. So this lens specifically has these 2 levers. This lever right here actually has 2 positions. There is what I believe is the aperture lock, which means whatever setting it's on, it stays. And then this opens it up so that this ring actually controls the aperture, which I didn't realize that was a thing that existed, but now I've actually figured out how to do that. Now, one issue is I think that the adapter here, this lock here, is actually supposed to be the aperture lock, but there's a little arm there. You might be able to see it, maybe, possibly. Yeah, there's a little thing sticking out right there, and it moves when you turn this, and I think that's supposed to connect to that lock somehow, but there's no other way to put the lens onto this ring, and that doesn't actually contact it. So I don't know if that's an issue with this or if the lens is missing a piece that's supposed to allow that to hook onto it. So that's something I'm going to have to look into, because it would be really handy to have yet another option to like lock the aperture. But that's that. The aperture works now. I'm just going to leave it in the unlocked position so I can actually control it, because it means that I have more options for actually getting the shot that I want, and it means I can actually learn how to use aperture on 2 different lenses. Anyways, that's about it for today. I just wanted to take you on this little journey with me while I try a thing that I bought in hopes that it was the correct thing. Turns out it was, but then also experiencing this lens as a functional lens for my first time. Of course, I was very happy with it originally, even though the aperture wasn't working. But now that I figured out why it wasn't working and got it functioning, I'm even more happy with it, which means I can do so many different things. I don't just have to get up close to things with the camera. I can get some more interesting distance shots, like you saw in the intro. The camera was actually anywhere from like 7 to 8 feet away, which usually with this lens, I can't do. It can only zoom in so far. But this means that I can get more interesting shots. I can also film different stuff. So I can actually go out and film nature like I've wanted to do. Get really cool shots of birds and butterflies and stuff, because I can actually be fairly far away from them without, annoying them, and actually get some cool pictures and videos. Now, there are some more gear videos coming. One specifically, which is what I'm actually recording the audio with right now. I alluded to that at the beginning of the video. That's one of the next videos I'm going to do. But without further ado, this was fun. This is going to be making another appearance in a second video at some point where I actually do a lot more with this now that it's fully functional. And I'll take you along on the journey for that as well. But without further ado, I've been Nair Virica. You've been incredible. Remember to reach for the stars, because the only limit here is 200 millimeters. I'm kidding. There's no limits here. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. That was so dumb.